Good morning, welcome. My name is Ian Soars. I'm the Chief Executive of Fegans and Dad.Info. So Fegans is a charity that does a lot of counselling for vulnerable young children. We counsel about 400 or 500 children every week. And we also do work with parents who are having a tough time. For our many sins, we have 2 preschools. Trying to manage those in these days has been really, really difficult. But today is not about Fegans or Dad.Info, Dad.Info is part of the Fegans family. Today is really about an incredible organisation and 2 incredible men that I'm privileged to know and count as friends. Gloves up for good, glove up for good. So I'm pleased to welcome Sam and John to this live stream. So without me banging on about who you are and how great I think you are, Sam, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Sam Buchanan, dad of 3, and one of the co-founders of Glove Up for Good.
And John?
Obviously, I'm John. I'm the other one. I'm a dad of 1, and I'm a co-founder of Glove Up for Good, and I also work with Sam.
All right. So we're going to talk about what Glove Up for Good is in a minute and in a bit more depth, but just to give people a bit of a background to who we all are, probably worth just talking about maybe how we met at the club and maybe a bit about our families. Sam, do you want to just talk about your family a bit? Who are you? You've got 3 kids. Who are you, Sam?
Yeah, I'm a dad of 3. 2 of my own. One's a stepson. About 2 years ago, I was struggling with personal addictions, and I couldn't overcome them. I managed to get out of that, and for the last 2 years, I've been trying to be a better dad, sort my life out, and do good in the community.
John?
I've been a single parent now for about 12 years. Still have a very good relationship with my daughter's mother. We've had a lot of ups and downs before we got there. As I say, my daughter lives with me now, and she sees her mum at the weekends, and we divide the holidays up. I've got a history of depression, anxiety, that sort of thing. I was medicated for it for quite a while. Tried to seek out a lot of help, both medically and spiritually. I've had my fair share of ups and downs as well over the last couple of decades, really. But I'm just blessed now to have obviously my to know my daughter's safe and happy, and she sees both her parents. So it's all good.
It's funny because obviously we've known each other, I guess, a couple of years now. But when we first met, when I first really got to know the 2 of you, you had boxing gloves on. There's a boxing ring in a corner. You're shouting out crazy instructions that almost broke my tired old body. And I get there's a lot of hardship in the background, but you carried it off. I would not have known, when I met you guys. Don't you think it's odd the way that as dads, as men, we got that almost those 2 things going on in all of our lives, stuff that's happening that people can see and stuff that's happening that they can't.
The way I look at it, I think that some of the obviously having a family can put a lot of pressure on you, I think, as a dad, but I think also at the same time it's what gives you your strength. I think one of the main motivators for me was obviously seeing my little girl, trying to make sure she's happy and well adjusted, in spite of everything that's going on around her and in the rest of the world. And just that was a driving force for me, really, to sort of just try and fight these things I was fighting with the anxiety and the depression. I had some drugs problems when I was younger as well. I was quite fortunate because for me, I kind of drifted away from that over time. I think the bad times were just outweighing the good, you know, and it was definitely a sort of a kind of a precursor to me suffering with mental illness. As I really genuinely think that one of the things which led to that was substance misuse when I was younger. So for me, yeah, the main kind of strength I've sort of drawn from is that the fact that I'm a dad and I've got a daughter who depends on me. So for me, it was a no-brainer, really. That in terms of my social situation, that was definitely the case. Anyway, obviously there are other things, other strengths that I've pulled from as well, but that was the driving force.
Sam, what about you? Because you've been on quite a journey. When I met you, you were Scottish boxing champion, you know, in your past, and pretty tough and everything. By the way, just at this point in this, you're going to have to explain how I won this at some point in this interview, Sam. I'm just going to say, right? you can tell the story, but what's really interesting to me in terms of your story is you as a dad, and then you as a dad in terms of community, in terms of what you were doing as a coach at that club. Just want to talk about why would you care? Why the community? Why do this Gloves Up for Good? Why?
I think for me, well, I've lost quite a lot in my life, and even now I still struggle with being a dad. I try my best, and luckily enough, I've got a partner that's probably just as strong as me, if not even stronger. And I think that's what holds it together. And for all the bad that I'd done back then, I think that what I'm doing now is I'm repaying back to the community. And that's how I feel. I feel that I like doing it. On the situation with the boxing trophy you've got there, so we met. I think we met in a brief conversation, and it was about a run to start with. And Ian's the type of person that doesn't like to say no. It's always a yes straight away before thinking about what he's got himself involved in. So he agreed to join me on a half marathon, and then I kind of roped him into having a 3-round boxing match with myself, and unfortunately I lost and Ian won.
You're right. That's what happened. The 50-year-old beat the Scottish boxing champion. That's exactly how it worked out. I said to him afterwards, "You fixed it. You fixed it." I didn't. I did. I said, "You fixed it." I know you did. So, you know, we've met a few times. Tell me about your kids. What's good? What's the best things that you do with your kids, and why you're enjoying that, and what works well in your family?
So for me, I struggle being stuck indoors with the kids. So any time I've got them, I always try and get them out. It's not always the best thing to do, but I always try and get them out. I take them places. We enjoy. Well, currently we enjoy a lot of time on the beach. But not only that, on the subject that we're going to get on to, they're a massive part of this Glove Up for Good. So even although they probably don't realise what they're doing, they're making a massive impact.
Yeah.
And it's quite humbling to watch them. And
John, with you and Jess, I know communication is a huge thing between the two of you. Do you just want to talk a bit about that?
Yeah. I mean, I've always tried to have some kind of like mutual interests with Jessica, and I find it really helps if you know you can share an interest in something and it be a genuine interest rather than it just being tokenistic. And it's lucky when you can find that, because it's difficult, because obviously there's a generational divide there, and the world is not as we knew it when we were their age. So yeah, I think finding I mean, we skateboard, for instance. She's really big on skateboard and skateboard culture, so we've both got skateboards. we go out and we go out a couple of days a week and skateboard together, which is really cool. So other things as well. I just try and make sure that I make sure we do things together. Like we eat together. I never really don't eat unless I'm eating with her when we're at home. You know. So we there's little rituals and stuff we do. You know, we eat together. We'll have a movie night together, that sort of thing. And the other thing, I guess one of the things which I think really that flags up a lot with me is it's very easy, I think, when you're busy and you've got so much going on, to sort of almost be dismissive of the smaller thing. You know, she may have written her homework out nicely and said, "Dad, look at this. Dad, look at this." And it's a fine line between saying that's good and actually looking at it and saying that's good. You know, and I think they pick up on this, and I think it's really important to make sure you absolutely don't show them, you know, just tokenistic interest in what they're doing. It has to be heartfelt and sincere. Of course they do.
They spot it right away, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I'll give you 20 minutes because that's what I got. And what is that about? You know, so.
Yeah, it's strange, and it's very easy to say no and it's almost habitual. You say no almost for the sake of just saying no, because you've just gotten into that habit of it's easier to just move that to one side because I've got to do the washing up, or I've got to get the ironing done, or I've got to cook some food, and then. But the thing is, the bigger picture is what's it all for then? If you're not enjoying that quality time and all the work you're putting into it to making sure your children are happy, you know, you're putting all this work in, but without actually reaping the reward of it, you know. So
I think you do skateboarding. What else do you do, John?
Skateboarding, obviously a box as well. Jessica's not been huge on boxing, but I've been sending Sam videos of her for Sam's critique of her on the pads. So we've been doing pad work at home and stuff, and I've been picking it over to Sam for his assessment. It's always a good review as well. So yeah, as I say, we do movie nights and stuff as well.
Good.
We occasionally have little discussions and about things, what's going on in the world and stuff. She's quite engaged, and she's quite interested in what's going on in the world as well. And sometimes we may have a sort of a slight difference of opinion, and rather than it turning into a sort of a scrappy argument, we'll sort of both sit down and she'll say, "Right, I'm going to go and review this, and then going to come back to you and then give you my assessment of it." So it's really good to have that as well. I lose a lot of the time as well.
Yeah, it's part of that. Actually, do you know, boxing is quite a good metaphor because I think you've got to be prepared to take a punch from your kids. I mean, you know, I don't mean an actual fist up, but sometimes they lay one on you and you think, well, that one went in, but we can't come back, you know, go rah, you know. And sometimes being a dad is about just taking that one and saying, well, okay, you know, they're struggling. I'm gonna work with that. So what are you doing with your kids? Because you have some really cool share some of the stuff that you do with your kids.
We do quite a lot. Well, currently we do quite a lot of beach time on the boat, which is great. They love it. This is a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old. Not everybody at that age gets to drive a speedboat.
Not everyone.
At full speed, and they love it. And one memory I'll never forget about that was 2 weeks ago. I had Jack and Albie, who are the two youngest, and we left from Langley Point and drove to the pier. And then on the way back, it was quite choppy. On the way back, Albie fell asleep. So we're going flat out on a speedboat, coming over these waves, and the 2-year-old is in the seat next to me, fast asleep.
Oh man!
It's one of the moments you're like, did that really happen?
Yeah. But the thing I love about you and that boat is it's not about you and all your mates. You know, you going off to have fun with your mates. But I mean, a lot of the club have been on that boat. You know, and it's about your family, and it's about, you know, John was saying about that common interest and getting the boys on board. And it could be a lot of fun just to buzz up and down, and you know, do kind of adult things, but just for the kids to permanently be around that boat, I just think it's great. And of course, you've used it to open that up, not just to your family, but to my family, other families where, you know, we just go on a beach and have fun. I love that. And And I don't think we do enough. What do you? I mean, as dads, I don't think we do enough community like that. Do you?
No, probably
only just recently for us, we've managed to build a bigger group. But now because obviously the current situation, we can't meet like that anymore.
Mm-hmm. But we're I mean, if you look at where we are sort of culturally, we're sort of leaning. We tend to lean a lot towards social media and all these different apps and ways of communicating with each other. And I mean, it is kind of it's almost like forcing your hand to stay in more. You know, you can do so much now on a mobile phone, and it's almost a challenge now, and it's almost like a treat to get out for the day and do something. And I mean, that's why I think Sam's so good as well, because virtually everything he's interested in, his family's interested in as well, and he incorporates obviously his family into most of the stuff doing, which is amazing, you know. And it really is, and it's I've sort of led by example a little bit, you know. I'm trying to get Jessica to get involved in some of the more of the stuff which she wouldn't normally be. It's a steady process, because Jessica's 14, and at 14 there's an awful lot of resistance. But no, it's really good, I think. But yeah, no, it's more needs to be done, I think. I mean, you know, without meaning to sound cliched or anything, if you speak to your grandparents about what it was like for them growing up, it just sounds like there was a far greater emphasis on community spirit. Yeah, and there needs to be as well, because I think that's probably what's causing a lot of problems in the world at the moment with mental illness and that sort of thing, is that people feeling isolated. I mean, even on top of lockdown and even before lockdown, people are feeling isolated. They're spending less time in other people's company, and of course you gather strength from being in other people. I sound out to so many different people if I'm having a bad day or I'm stressed out or something, and it's good because, you know, the more people you've got around you, the broader the sort of consensus will be, if you like, on maybe your troubles you're having. You know, if I tell, you know, 10 friends that this has bothered me today or something, you know, out of those 10, you're gonna kind of get a feeling for whether or not you're the one who's actually, you know, treading on the wrong path, so to speak. So yeah, no, I entirely agree with you. People there needs to be, and it's not just doing something. I think there needs to be some emphasis on why we need to be out in groups, and obviously that's more difficult at the moment, but it's not impossible. You know, it's all about contact, I think, really. So human contact.
So let's just take, because I absolutely agree with that. You know, so in terms of children's mental health, anxiety is number one. Anxiety is about the fear of the unknown. And, you know, often people ask me, Ian, how do I stop my kids getting anxious? And there are two different ways. One, you've got to figure out, make the world as known as they can. So, look, you know, make sure it's stable at school, stable at home, stable friends as far as we can organise that for our kids. Sometimes we can't, it's difficult, but as best as we can, stable meal times, stable, you know, I'm engaged with them, we're going to go out and do, and that actually reduces anxiety. And the other side of that is relationships. But so let's just talk a bit about Gloves Up for Good, right? Because it's got an unusual story, and it's a boxing club that, you know, because of lockdown couldn't be a boxing club, so it began to do something very different. But I think just starting on the boxing club element of that, just if you both have a go at kind of describing what the atmosphere that we all created at that club, who was going, what kind of people, and that sort of stuff. Just do you want to comment on that in terms of community straight off the bat? Sam, you go first. You look really
Yes, it was just a broad demographic, all different people. They all came for their own reasons. Their own. Some of them had mental health problems, alcohol addictions. Some of them were overweight, and it was. I don't think it wasn't the club that made it the way it was. It was the people.
Yeah.
They came for people, because I've been in and out of boxing gyms and clubs all my life, and there was no atmosphere that we had there, and we just made people feel welcome, and that's why they kept coming back.
Because it grew quite big. I mean, as a club, just meeting regularly, and it was old, there was young, people, different cultures and backgrounds, ethnicities. They were rock hard monster boxers. I don't know how to say it politely, but Mickey's and Liam's and so on, great guys. But you don't want to meet them actually, you have met them in a ring. But we also had people, as you say, Sam, who were quite fragile, and somehow that community, that was a very precious community where everybody felt that they could come. But if they didn't want to go into ring, fine. But if they wanted to box hard, they could. But if they wanted to just make friends, they could. And if they wanted to do some serious workout, they could. And I thought that was amazing. So lockdown happens. John, do you want to pick it up from there? Just that what happened?
Yeah, sure. I think obviously lockdown happened, and there was a kind of a hiatus in what we were doing, and we kind of thought about, well, maybe we can have a bit of an online presence and set up like a Facebook page, put a few training videos on there. And the initial thoughts behind it were, let's just have a presence, just have a platform that we can still communicate with people who have been training with us, that sort of thing. So we set up a Facebook page, a few videos, that sort of thing. And then we slowly started thinking, well, we can probably do a bit more with this. And there's so many people already doing this sort of thing online. We need to sort of try and find an angle to come from. So we thought, let's try doing a couple of challenges. And we did a challenge initially. I think it was for the charity Linking Lives in Osborne. And we did like a charity run for them, and it took off. It was so good. Like, we thought, we might get half a dozen of us running up and down the street. Basically, the challenge was to run the distance of Eastbourne to Land's End, and we did it in half a week. So in the end, we had to run back as well. So we ended up doing about 650 miles in total between us all, and we were just taking it in turns. So somebody would go out, log their time, their distance, and then somebody else would do it. And we had such a good turnout from that, and we thought that we were onto something here. So obviously we've evolved that into what it is now with the work we're doing with yourself. I'm just trying to find the logo there. And we thought it was really good because it meant we could focus, because we obviously with this we're treading on new ground here, and we thought if we try and do something different each month, it's going to be, in terms of supporting different groups and stuff, it's going to be a challenge. So why don't we spend a year really finding our feet, focusing on one charity that we can try all these different ideas with, and then that'll give us such a good blueprint for moving forward with the future. Just quickly, I was going to mention that with regards to the whole boxing, obviously I've loved boxing from a young age, and so has Sam, and I wouldn't lie in saying that a lot of my motivation was to get fit and to learn to box and what have you, and then obviously starting to take on the coaching element of things. But the one thing I found especially over the last few months with lockdown as well, is you really get such a great reward from helping other people, and you get such an incredible feeling when you know that somebody's down and out and they're on hard times, and they come along, and then you start seeing them start getting better, start having a bit more hope in what they're saying. It's really something which nobody can appreciate until they're trying to do it themselves. I mean, being outwardly focused is such an incredibly powerful tool, not just for the people you're helping, but for yourself. The rewards are endless, and everything you do after you've spent some time helping others and stuff, everything you do in your own life is just so much better. You have so much more of an appreciation of what you've got and what's around you. So, and this is not something which is difficult or beyond people's reach. Anybody can be like this. This is not we don't deserve a gold star. I think people's default setting should be compassion. And I think it is inherently. It's just somewhere along the lines we've deviated from that. But I think it's something which is people. I mean, I've spent years saying, I need to do something for charity. I need to do something for charity. And never done it. There's always been that kind of strange invisible wall that just stops you wanting to actually move forward with it or taking that first step. And then of course I meet Sam, who's the polar opposite. Like, so where I'll sit and think about something and plan something with Sam, it's just like boom, boom, boom. No, just get on, let's do it. Don't think about it, let's get it done. And I haven't looked back since then. So yeah,
So,
I would implore people, if they've ever thought about trying to help out in their local community, then to take that step and do it.
So I just want to. I'm going to just turn to you in a minute, Sam. Well, I was going to turn to Sam. So Sam turns up on my driveway a few months ago and says, right, what we're going to do is we're going to do 12 events. We're going to raise, we're not about raising money, but people, and to be clear, John, thousands of pounds have been raised. I mean, thousands of pounds have been raised. And so it's been incredible. But Sam, that's not the mission. That is not the mission. It's not about raising money, and we can't box, so it's not about boxing. We can't really meet in community, so it's like that, but it's going to be a bit more online. And this is about trying to create a movement where I'm talking about you and what you were saying to me a few months ago on my driveway. And so I said, right, let me understand this right. We're going to do a fundraising initiative where we don't actually aim to raise any money, and we're going to have a community that is not just about coming together once a week in a boxing club, but does mission together, walks marathons, does mud runs, does charity runs, does parasailing, paragliding, all that kind of stuff. And so it was nothing I'd ever heard of before. And the other thing that you were really clear about is it doesn't have to be about eSport. This has to be national. And the joy of people watching it, because the videos that John's produced are extraordinary. And just honestly check them out. Glove Up for Good. .co.uk. But that was your passion. So just talk us through how people can get involved. So you started it, it's going great guns. How do people get involved now?
So we set a challenge every month. The challenges always vary, and then depending on what it is. For instance, this Sunday there's a 26-mile walk. We're doing the Surrey Three Peaks. But if people want to join in, no matter where you are, what you do is you create a trek yourself, somewhere around the same amount of miles. You walk it, you take pictures, you document it, and then you send it to us on our page. If John's got time, he'll make you a lovely video, I'm sure. And then in doing that, everybody is then part. One of the runs, we had people join us for Scotland, people in Reading. There was people up and down the length of the country joining in and playing their part. And also the month before, we climbed the Three Peaks, Ben Nevis, Scafell Pike, and Mount Snowdon. And on the Ben Nevis leg, I had 15 of my Scottish family turned up to join us, and they climbed it. All ages. The youngest one that was there was 6-year-old. So anybody can join. You just need to check out a Facebook page, watch out for the charity, and then get involved.
And I think it's important that although Fegans, the charity that I'm involved with, we benefit financially, the aim is not really to raise money. It's great that money's raised, but the aim is really for people to feel part of something, to raise, raise the profile of a cause. Because a lot of us, in that club, a lot of us had difficult childhoods, without repeating all of that. And this is, I think a lot of it is about saying, look, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what you think you've done wrong, it doesn't matter what your background is, we believe in you and you can be part of this. Just come to the website page, and it's just been extraordinary. So I just had a clock timer come up and say, you're getting close to 30 minutes. So I'm going to draw it to a close. But I did want to ask just one parenting tip from the two of you, which is unfair, right? I know, but we're on Dad.Info, right? And we've all got different families. We've all got different family backgrounds, and we've all been around the park a few times and so on. But the work that you've done, I don't know if you know that, but when you started raising funds for us, a few days later, there were 3 teenage suicides in one town. And we stepped in straight away to work with the children who were around these lads that had killed themselves. And just out of interest, the amount of money you've now raised has completely covered all of the costs for that. So although it wasn't a direct, you raise money and then we managed to spend it on the kids, we stepped in straight away. But it has real impact. I know that the aim is not to raise loads of money, but it does transform lives. And all of us had difficult backgrounds and we needed to transform lives. And the thing that I find joyful about Glove Up for Good is that it's not about people wallowing in the past. It's about saying, how do I do it differently with my kids? So now I've trod water for 30 seconds to give you time to think about what your number one parenting tip is. John, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I think I would say I think it's important to try and make your children not just feel wanted, but needed as well. So try and create an opportunity where they're helping maybe at home. Something obviously no kid likes to do tidying up. Not one that I've met anyway. But make them feel like their opinions count and they're contributing something. Because I think it's good because it gives kids a sense of worth, which I think is equally as important as a sense of feeling loved.
Yeah, I agree. Just asking them, why do you think that? They say, oh, we think that every child should have 3 miles every day. Rather than just scoff at them, just say, why do you think that? It's the most unexpected question a child gets asked. Sam, what about you? Top parenting tip?
I don't think I've actually got one, because as I expressed before, I'm still finding my ways, because I lost out so much in Jack and Bobby's childhood, maybe not Albie's, because of my past. But I'm just trying my best, and as I say, I just try and do as much as possible. Take them on adventures, and just do my best.
Man, just honestly, if all the dads in the UK, if we just all did our best, we'd have a different country, I think. Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, thank you for the many. Go on.
I think that people need to know that whatever they're doing is still good enough, even if they're doing something, but just to keep trying, and that's the thing. Don't beat yourself up about it, and just keep trying.
Yeah.
I think when I talk about parenting, the two questions two things you don't want said to you when your kids are 25 is you weren't there or you didn't care. And even if we're not living with our kids, we can be there and we can care. We can text, we can meet them every other weekend, we can be there and we can demonstrate we care. And even doesn't matter what they say. If at 25 they say you were there and you cared, I think that's you've done good. I agree with you, Sam. So it's hard on behalf of Fegans and Dad.Info to thank you guys enough for the incredible work you do. It has meant a great deal to us. Just actually as a charity, a lot of the work we do is behind closed doors. It's in secret. We can't share about it. There's very little we can say about the vulnerable children that we work with. But to know that there are communities out there that are standing with us as we do the work that we do, we hear the stories we hear, which are obviously sometimes very, very distressing. But you guys, those stories. You've walked this walk. You know what I'm talking about. And I'm proud to call you friends. And
likewise.
Yeah.
And just so you know, Sam, Hannah's a better boxer than you. She whipped me in the ring. I was going to point it out to you. God bless you guys. You guys take care. It's been lovely talking to you as always.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.